on to Yunshiping for DreamHack Winter, and apparently there were no computers at DreamHack, apparently, which could pose a problem tomorrow, but definitely a problem for us right now. And so he got taken to an internet cafe so he could play his games, but those close at 10 o'clock, and it's 10 o'clock in Sweden, so he got kicked out of the internet cafe and can't play his game.
Oh,
he's been thrown out.
That's funny, right? It's just like, wow.
Yep.
Out of all the things that could happen, it's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I got a computer. Finally, feel good. And it's like, oh god, we're closing, by the way.
Yeah, we're closing. You gotta go, man.
His replacement here is going to be Lillekanin, I believe he's a Terran player from. Oh, did I already? Yeah, I was trying to think what country. Again, he's. I had remembered it like earlier, and I even said it, but.
Yeah, it's in Denmark. You said
Denmark. Here we go.
Denmark,
like the likes of Bunny, you know.
Very true. Bunny was a good player. He is a good player.
Damn good. Yeah, he's actually. I think he's playing. Is he playing a DreamHack? I'm not exactly sure, but I would assume he was. But
surprised.
But look what we got here. We haven't seen this in quite a bit. Some used to call it the Macaracks, where you put down that barracks in a little bit of a hidden but forward position, as well as the initial barracks. But even here in a TVP with that reactor very quickly, that could mean some really fast aggression, or do you think he's just kind of making it to be ready for oracles?
I think it could be a bit of both, but he's certainly following it up with a proxy factory out on the map. So with our proxy factory, going to be able to put on some most likely fast Widow Mines. It's rare to see a proxy factory and have it be anything other than proxy Widows, but it could be Banshees. I'd just be quite surprised to see that off one gas in a proxy location, because there's no real need for it. And I'll have to see with a Minigun, who I don't think scouted that second barracks, is going to be ready for it.
Yeah, all he's seen is that barracks that does have the reactor on it. Minigun pretty much doing the standard thing, except, he's already fully saturated in his main, and his next choice of tech is going to be the Robo, so he is just going to be playing it safe as he does take that expansion. But Lillekanin has not actually made anything that would show that he wants to expand very soon, because he's just kind of pumping out units off of these two barracks, off of one gas as well, and that factory is so interesting. Oh my god, it's actually going to get
lifting up. Yeah, it's lifting up, and it's getting ready to drop into the main base and start producing Widow Mines. Again, most likely Widow Mines. Is it Widows? We got us Widow Mines, yes. Two Stalkers going to immediately start shooting away at that, but that will mean that they aren't at the front to deal with the bio forces that are pushing, and this is not an expansion. This is a very, very all-in opening from Lillekanin with 2 racks pressure and Roxy Widow.
Yeah, and Widow Mine is going to be able to come out, but luckily for Minigun, he opened up very safe, getting that robotics facility, so he will have the Observer out, and that Photon Overcharge is going to kind of hold this back for a bit. And I'm wondering how much damage can actually get done here. I feel like this factory investment is kind of it's nothing. It actually
Beautiful
didn't do
control
anything because
from
of that.
Minigun. Yeah. Really nice. He immediately saw that factory be proxied. He instantly got the Stalkers on it. Defense with the overcharge meant that he couldn't be pulled apart by the Terran, and dealing with the Widow Mine instantly with that fast Observer means that he took basically no damage from that attack. So far, he's taken absolutely no damage, and even has a Nexus up compared to Lillekanin.
Yeah. So there is not enough energy for another Photon Overcharge, and there's nothing but units coming out of here for Lillekanin. So I'm hoping that Minigun is going to be able to not necessarily just die straight up, because he doesn't have the units or the production yet. He added 2 more units, and that's very nice.
It'd be nice to see an Immortal come out to help with this defense just as a short-term issue, but I guess that might be an overinvestment, or considered an overinvestment by Minigun, and thus this bio is just kicking around the natural, able to do whatever it likes for the moment.
Yeah. And Minigun warping in sentries here as well. He doesn't want those bio units to get into the main of his, but he is trying to hold this natural, as that is his advantage. If he's able to hold this from Lillekanin, he will be infinitely ahead, but it is going to be hard.
Able to hold it, I don't think.
Oh, down goes the Nexus.
There we go. Well, Lillekanin has basically done the damage he needs to then. Killing off that Nexus, it's a pretty big deal. Doesn't have a follow-up, an economic follow-up in his own right, but has really helped cripple the Protoss opponent. That's when the Immortals are coming out. Might see Minigun just go all in himself.
He might, you know. He didn't really lose too much army value. He didn't lose anything, I don't believe, just yet. He might have. Let's see here. Maybe? Yeah, he did lose a Stalker and a few Zealots, and actually 8 probes. I didn't see that many probes go down, but yeah, it was 8 probes that did go down. Lillekanin's follow-up is going to be another barrack, so hey, man.
Yeah.
2 in a starport, actually. So he's not ending it.
When you're all in, go more all in.
All in, yeah, the all in that keeps on all inning. But
Yeah, even
what do you
adding
think
a
about
tech
this
lab.
there? Yeah, the tech lab on the factory, is that going to be for siege tanks or just to get an upgrade? Or I just maybe
You know,
think
I
that it would be
don't know.
siege tank.
I do not know, but I'm interested to see what comes out of it. I'm watching the. Oh, it is tanks. Yeah, it's going to be
Oh,
tanks,
wow.
and that's going to be to contain the Protoss opponent. Obviously, there's a lot of army at the front right now for our Terran player. Good force field splitting that up though from Minigun, and not losing that immortal, which is very important. It's got a lot of DPS that can be brought to bear against the Terran if it doesn't die.
And he'll need it, especially if those tanks do get onto the field. So he doesn't know that it's going to be tanks, but you just don't want to lose immortals anyway because of how expensive they are. And
Absolutely.
they're incredibly good against Marauders too. So just
They are, and this is a heavy Marauder composition, but there isn't that much actual anti-marine stuff in this composition. Really, that's the splash units. You really need those more splash tech units to deal with it, and Minigun is a long way away from those. The closest one he is to is the Colossus, and that's a good 3 minutes off from the moment he puts down his Robo-Bait, if he does at all.
exactly, he would have to put it down and then wait, survive that. And the problem with that too is that if you invest in there and then you're just waiting for it to come out, you might die before it even comes out. So you have to
Exactly.
be very careful. And I like this from Lillekanin. He does have stim, but it's a very scary kind of push here. I'm even wondering if he would pull some boys, right? Like, here they come already.
Uh-oh.
Choo choo! And his minigun. He does have a lot of force field, so keep that in mind. But the tanks are very important here.
I think the
Is he
force
even going to
fields
siege it
are
up?
critical. Oh, great force fields come down, but of course that tank is laying siege to the Protoss army immediately. Minigun forced to pull back a little bit. Tank can't advance right now, but if a tank can't hit the Nexus can't. Oh, the tank can hit the Nexus. Snap the vision.
Yeah. And the observer here providing that vision. And then, Lillekanin only has one orbital command, but here comes some force fields going down. Is it going to be enough? He has a lot of bio. There's so much firepower here. Oh,
Great
really nice list
fields coming out of Minigun though. 3 Immortals now bringing their damage against that Bioforce, and Minigun is taking really nice engagements so far, but he's not killing that much of the Terran yet. There's a lot of it still left. Gonna have to be careful.
Now that the photon overcharge has completed, oh, he has another one. So, yeah, Minigun is looking pretty good at this moment. He's mining off of 2 bases as well. Just getting further and further ahead the more time goes on, and Lillekanin feeling like he has to make a move, but I don't think he has enough. I think Minigun is gonna be able to hold this, and then that'll mean that Lillekanin is just running out of gas and steam. Even then, look at his main; it's starting to mine out.
Exactly, the mules have been overused, the tank has been killed, and now Minigun begins to push forward. Now that splash damage is gone, he shunts away the Terran and he goes, yeah, I don't really need to chase you at this point. I can if I want, but I'm not gonna. We're good.
He's perfectly fine, just chilling,
Yeah.
And
He's in a good place.
Very scary situation for a Protoss, where you're just buying the time and hoping that you're gonna have enough for when that photon overcharge does expire. And he's okay. Minigun does have an observer at the ramp of Lillekanin and knows that he's going for it once again. If at first you don't succeed, choo choo again, because here comes some more boys getting pulled from the main. And I love how Minigun is here with these stalkers too, right? Seeing that not gonna get dropped either.
Yeah, I mean, the barracks was the factory was trying to make its route up onto the high ground once more, maybe make a few more sneaky bit of mines in a desperate last-ditch attempt to pop a few probes, but barely any have been lost during this entire game. We've lost, what, 8 workers have been killed by the Terran here. Oh, engagement going down at the front. 4 Immortals, though, and great force fields out of Minigun. I wouldn't be surprised to see a time warp go down just to stop these guys escaping, although I guess they could load up into the medevacs. But the Stalkers are just going to shoot all of those down. Great engagement in front of the natural. GG.
Sticking to his colors too, We've seen a lot of people switching their colors, just like, well, that wasn't a lucky one. Let's try our luck with another one.
He chooses red. He's taking a dominant stance in this game, taking a nice aggressive color. I like it.
And he played a very aggressive first game as well.
Absolutely.
So, what do we see? I know Minigun in PvT, at least from what I've seen and casted of him, he's very, very conservative in it and doesn't usually go for the super aggressive plays. He is the more traditional type of Protoss player in this matchup from what I've seen, but I don't know recently how he approaches the matchup. especially you know with
It's nice to see a Protoss player who doesn't go for just one base play against Terran. Because yesterday, Stardust was he was a fan of the not taking any Nexuses at any point.
Yep.
Yeah, he made it work though.
Oh, he did, you know, and his control was nice, and he just kept it on, you know, even though sometimes it looked like it wasn't going to be successful for a bit, he just keep it coming. And eventually, he was able to just brood it.
Saber, it says Cats versus Master on the stream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hot damn. It says Cats versus Master. There's like a thing at the top. Oh, it's alright. It's alright. There's a probe of miniguns just scouting around the base and having a little poke and a prod. Gonna try to get the SCV. Actually, it does see that the SCV is putting down a command center, so it knows the timing on that, but also sees the Reaper, which is distracted for just a moment in killing off that probe. So Minigun right now, he knows where his opponent is, and Lillekanin doesn't know where Minigun is hiding.
And he didn't even send out an SCV to try to find out where the Reaper should go. So he just wants to use a Reaper to find out the location and then get that mid-game information. So it wasn't like he was trying to get there quickly to even get maybe a probe kill. He just wants to go ahead, stick to his economy, and go on ahead, see exactly how he's going to play it out. Very different from game number 1. I'm really excited to see what Lillekanin does have in store, because the first game was quite aggressive, and now he's taking that kind of laid-back stance. But who knows? As soon as that factory goes down, we'll never know what path he will decide to take here. Yeah,
it could be something as aggressive as Widowmine drops. I would like to see Widowmine drops. Those are often very effective, but in the previous game, the proxy Widowmine just didn't work out. So, a bit of a misplay on the Stalker, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Minigun too good. Killing that off. No more scouting, no more harassment from that until Lillekanin shows his hand a bit more. Is that a second factory?
That's very scary. Yeah. Wait. It is a second factory going on here for Lillekanin. Widowmine coming out of the first one and a bunker coming here. So he's going to play very defensively. And do you think... I've seen some players do TVP mech before. I don't know if Lillekanin is one of them. Could be, though. It really could be.
I really don't know. A second factory is unusual to go for this matchup, to the point where I am almost running through my head whether I think it's a mistake. But at this point, I mean, we'll have to see. He selected it, so I can only assume he's seen and knows it. It can't be a mistake, right? So what's he going to build out of this? What's it going to be if not a starport? Goes down Tech Lab.
I'm excited. I want to see it. I mean, how often do you see mech in this matchup? But
it's very rare.
Very rare. And I don't know, man. I'm just kind of sitting back and saying, okay, anything is possible here. He has set it down. He puts a Widowmine inside of both of his mineral lines in case that Oracle does come out, and that is exactly what is coming here for Minigun, I believe. I did see the Stargate finish, but the Oracle is on the way. And will it be able to get some kills here? There's no engineering bay here. There's not a lot of anti-air.
That's the cost of that second factory. The minerals that would be spent there have gone into that would be spent on eBay have gone into the factory. So there's not really a lot that can be done about this, except for the reasonable marine count that is possessed by Lillekanin. But of course, oracles can outrun marines quite reasonably. I think,
and you do need 5 in order to deal with it. And he has 10, so he should be able to, but they're not in the mineral line. So.
Wait. Oh, I'm glad Minigun was paying attention to that, nearly sacrificing that. Oh! He sacrifices it.
That is nice.
That's like the second worst feeling as a Protoss player, to know that your Oracle did absolutely nothing. The worst feeling is when you lose all your probes to the same unit.
Well, really nice move there from Lillekanin, because he did put it there right where the SCVs are mining, so Minigun may have seen it just a second too late, and it was more so a reaction to get away from those Marines. And that was a very nice position by Lillekanin, like assuming that, all right, Minigun is going to swerve over there, and then it's going to be too late. Because he didn't even put any defense inside of his main. As he does now, though.
I genuinely think he's going to be mech. Just looking at it.
Yep.
It's got 3 factories. What else can it be? But that is really, really unusual. Thinking about it, I was told that he was a meching player, but in my head, I just thought mech like versus Zerg.
Oh, PvZ round. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think he was a mech versus Protoss. That's crazy. I like it, though.
I love it. Me too. This is going to be pretty cool. Especially because you know that whenever a Terran player does do this, clearly they have the experience in it, and in most cases, the Protoss player doesn't. So
It's not a common style that one has to deal with at all as a Protoss player. But Minigun is more than experienced enough playing against players like Major, who has been known to play a little bit of mech, put it that way. He should have a decent level of experience in order to deal with this reasonably, and is already building immortals to presumably assist. He's seen all the factories.
He does see it, right, with the hallucinated Phoenix, so really nice. From Minigun, what will his response be? He already has the robotics facility, and he's pumping out those immortals. We even start to see some void rays coming out of the Stargate, perhaps, as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see those mixed in. They are quite an expensive unit without a third, though. So a bit of a challenge to pump it out. And actually, it's the Twilight Council that is being produced, while we see ghosts.
Yeah, ghost mech coming out of Lillekanin.
Is that Ghost Cloak?
You know, that's actually a really good idea, because Immortals are usually the unit that deals with mech so easily. So if you mix in a few Ghosts, you can get a really nice EMP, especially with the Cloak, so that they don't see it. Oh, it could actually be very devastating for the push.
No, EMP can do so much damage when targeted right, especially against the Immortal, where it effectively negates most of the point of that unit.
Exactly. And even if he mixes in some Widow Mines, I know a lot of Protoss have been having a bit more trouble with the Widow Mine since it did get a bit buffed. It could be nice. I mean, I haven't seen anybody do mech since the actual Widow Mine buff, so this could work.
It's just been biomech. It's been biomech since that point. It's been like the bio builds with a little bit of Widow mixed in. But here, we've got Hellbats, we've got tanks, we've got a couple of Marines, which really feel like kind of a vague addition just to add DPS, and a solitary Ghost and a Raven.
It's a lot of Hellbats, though.
That is a lot of Hellbats. A Zealot-based composition from Minigun could be absolutely fatal to him if he were to choose to go for that. And there are a lot of Zealots in that comp. If he pushes into that, the Hellbats are just going to shred it. Exactly.
He's getting Blue Flame with it as well. Producing 5 Hellbats at a time, so holy moly, that is a lot of Hellbats. Just dumping all of those minerals there. And with the Twilight and Charge on the way, we may see quite the Zealot composition. And that's what you want to do, you know, Zealot, Immortal, and I would even think if he did want to mix in the Void Rays or not, but it's going to be pretty devastating when Lillekanin pushes with a huge Ghost Force that, well, not huge Ghost Force, but just a force that can deal with these units that rely on their shields to deal with mech so much.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to engage in front of, but this is a Zealot Archon Immortal composition, and that is pretty tough to deal with as a Terran under most circumstances. However, I do think that if any composition is good against it, it's Hellbats and Widow Mines and tanks.
Yeah, and Ghosts.
It's good against this.
This is going to be intense. Oh, man, I'm just sitting here like watching as a spectator and a fan, but here we go. The engagement going down. The siege have seized up. Slowly moving forward and starting to choke out Minigun. But, you know, Minigun doesn't have a third to defend here. He just wants the surface area. You know, he doesn't want to get pinned down.
Feedback on the Ghost. And on the Raven as well, but not before it puts down a PDD. But there's nothing here that uses a projectile, so it really doesn't matter.
This is that one stalker, you know, sucks to be him. He's just the odd man out.
He's a sad stalker right now. This engagement from the mech is shoving its way up into the base, and I think Minigun might have made a bit of a mistake in allowing it to get up in this far to the base. Trying to flank around with the Zealots now. Come around on to the tanks. Good time warps going down. And drops from the Warp Prism. Beautiful. Yep. But
Blue Flame Hellbats are just shredding every single one of those Zealots, and these Immortals are even going down, and GG will be called.
In the bottom left, in the teal trunks, but from red bloods, now blue bloods, it's Lillekanin.
And his opponent spawning in the top left, representing Root for Root, Chad Mother Effin Jones. It is going to be the red Protoss player, Minigun.
I forgot that's what we call him. Just for a moment.
Yep. Good old Chad, man. I love this kid. Seeing him so long in the scene, he is just a household name on the North American side of things.
He really is. I used to watch his streams so much, and I have kind of fallen out of the habit now, but I watched it all the time just when he was like this streamer that would do it all the time, and then unfortunately he was taken to hospital just after that period. I kind of got the habit, but he was very dedicated. He spends a lot of time on it.
Yeah, you know, and he's been at the top of North America for quite a bit. Don't know if he still is what his rank exactly is, but you know, there was that period where he just was that guy at the top. Nobody could take that top spot from him, but
No.
Lillekanin is hoping to do that in this league in the ASL Season 3.
Yeah, he took that game off him pretty convincingly in the previous series, just kind of getting himself into that situation where he managed to siege up in such a great spot and dealt with everything that Minigun threw at him with barely any losses. At the end of that, the army of Minigun was reduced to nothing, and most of Lillekanin's was just fine.
It was already, yeah. It was that positioning that he was able to get so easily. And, you know, I'm always wondering, too, if you do some kind of style where you peel the terrain apart as well, with, like, warp prisms and whatnot, and, you know, while they're pressing out, and just force them to either make that decision to go back home or while you do set up yourself. I feel like Lillekanin had kind of a free pass, on cross position, went across the whole map without really getting stopped, maybe once or so, and then just sieged up and was in position already. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of things there.
If you've been sat in front of the natural and just maybe with like immortal drops or something, and kind of been sneaking in and around, harassing as the mech moved out, but it is very, very hard to orchestrate that during a build, especially being on the fly.
Exactly. So, well, he knows now at least that it is a possibility. Lillekanin showing that he can bust out the mech, make it happen if he does choose to do so. And he's going for that very heavy tech again on one base. 1-1-1 is what it's looking like already. And what kind of 1-1-1 is it actually going to be? We see that it is a medevac coming and a Widow Mine. So yeah, it's going to be the Widow Mine drop. A very, very powerful style of play, but Minigun showing that he does like that robo. So
yeah, getting that robo nice and early is very, very smart, just as a general style, because if the Terran does go for Widow Mine drops and you don't have a cannon ready or a robo, then you're really not going to be able to deal with it in any meaningful way unless you get super lucky and kill off the Widows before they get underground, and that is very, very hard to do. So Minigun is going to be pretty ready for this, and it's interesting that Lillekanin generally goes for, well, it's not exactly one-base play, because he did expand in the previous game on the most macro map in the pool, so kind of expected, and is now throwing down a command center on his own natural, but goes for basically a 1-1-1 style of opening in most games against Protoss, a very, very aggressive kind of player, and then transitioned into mech, which is traditionally quite passive.
Yeah, so it's cool to see it. I love how you put these tools in front of these players and then it's like, here, play. It's a sandbox game, aka the RTS that is StarCraft 2. You can pretty much play it however you want. If you can make it work, it can happen. And that's what Lillekanin did last game. And we'll see if he's going to make it happen this game as well.
Well, there's that drop on the way in now for Lillekanin, immediately dropping the units. Going to try and get some probes. I think he did get a probe. Going to get this pylon here as well. And the Stalkers are having to come back. But actually, oh no, the Widow Mine is killed off, losing a pylon. But Stalkers, no, they better get anything done to that medevac. So that's going to be free to drop again, even coming into the natural in a moment, I think. Is it? No, that's the Widow. That's the Stalkers that were moving down there.
He's fine. So Minigun didn't really take that much damage there, and he's pretty happy about that, most likely, right? Especially because the Stalkers were able to get into position and take out the mine, and if they weren't, imagine if Lillekanin had noticed that and just scanned and taken it out. Actually, Minigun would have been perfectly fine, I think. He does have 2 observers, but the other observer, of course, heading across the map to get that information.
Yeah, it is critical to see exactly what kind of build your opponent is going for, but really he might want to have more observers back at home. Taking up towards that Colossus tech, he's using a lot of the valuable gas that Minigun needs to build the observers, and this Banshee is on its way across the map. Cloak almost completed researching, going to turn up in the natural and start harassing. It's going to be invisible.
Yeah, and is there even enough anti-air here as well? I think so, right? 2 Stalkers and a Sentry.
I think
with the drop here too. Oh, this is going to divert the attention of Minigun.
Oh, chased away almost immediately. Good positioning on those Stalkers by Minigun, but the Banshee now in the natural. Cloaks up. Where's that observer? Where's the observer?
It is out to the north side of that Nexus, and it is going to come back home.
Here he comes.
To the natural.
Yeah, he gets a couple of shots off on that Banshee. The Banshee trying to get some kills, but is chased away by the Stalkers now. Pretty good defense out of Minigun, I've got to say.
Yeah, Minigun is really solid defense. We saw it in game number 1. And he's showing it that he can do it as well. But he's playing it very standard, getting those Colossi out. But I don't know if he's realized what Lillekanin is even going for. He's kind of playing it in autopilot, saying, I'm just this is how I play PvT. But Lillekanin is playing it very differently with that Cloak Banshee and now adding siege tanks again. This is a very different style of. Usually only people see what's
like a surprising amount of Banshees. I'm really surprised by how many Banshees he is choosing to add into this mixture, because using Banshees in TvP is kind of rare in the first place these days, and this many is downright unusual.
Yeah. Well, coming out of Minigun is I haven't seen a Twilight just yet. I don't know if he does have it out, but it's looking like Stalker Colossus for the most part. But
that siege, I love that position.
Using that position.
Ah, so smart. I've never seen a Terran actually do this against a Protoss before, but that's really intelligent.
I like it. It's going to work. Yeah. It's going to get rid of that cannon, and that is what gives Minigun the security against those Banshees without having to move around those observers. But now you don't even think about killing those rocks as a Protoss player against a Terran because you just don't see it. And that's exactly what Minigun is realizing, saying, what?
Yeah, there's a cannon in the main that's going to have to try and fight off a Banshee, but it's only offering vision right now. The Banshee, I think, hit like 5 separate probes up there, and killing off the Banshee that was providing high ground vision to that tank. Now the medevac has to come forward and take that risk. More damage being sent onto the assimilator from the tank, but it's not hitting any of the probes.
Nope. The tank does only have 2 kills. It did get a pylon and a cannon, but the Colossi, do they have the extended thermal lance? Not just yet, but they will very soon. With a photon over. Lillekanin is going to get right over there. Nick of time. Just about. So 2 Colossi followed by Immortals of all things. I'm not surprised to see Immortals, and a third base for Minigun is going to show that he's not going for anything too crazy right off the bat. But he has the map control as well. There's units on the towers for Miniguns. Yep.
Pretty it's not often you see a Protoss controlling the middle of the map in this match, or in any matchup really. They just tend to not be there.
Yeah, they'll have the vision maybe with observers, but it's not like having the stalkers on those. He's gonna take every single tower, all 2 of them. But here comes a big War Prism drop before the turrets are able to come out, and now we see how is Lillekanin gonna be able to deal with some pressure, getting a bit of a taste of his own medicine, as he does have to bring back some units in order to deal with these zealots. That they don't have the charge just yet though.
No, it is about halfway done, but it is good to see that. It's good to see that Minigun is putting on that pressure, because one of the weaknesses of mech styles is the general immobility. They can't move around the map to defend against harassment, so if Minigun gets himself maybe even an extra prism and starts dropping all around, keeping his opponent suppressed, generally being as irritating as possible, then that could work out very nicely in his favor.
You know what's really cool about it too, though, is that usually you scramble whenever you see the Warp Prism, and you say, I gotta pull my, find where my bio is, and then you gotta kite. But when you have the Banshees out, the Zealots really pose no threat, so they're able to clean up those Zealots pretty easily with the very little attention, just gotta make sure that your SCVs don't die.
And he didn't lose that many in that attack, just a couple going down. But Minigun is transitioning into fairly standard macro play at this point. He was getting the 3rd anyway, but now adding in those High Templar, getting the Storm upgrade, getting the weapon upgrades for his Colossi, and 3 Immortals added in. Because against tanks, you really do want that. This is how Minigun deals with mech. He thinks this is another mech composition. He's certainly not wrong in that assumption. He's getting the Storms this time that he didn't have before. He's got a couple of Colossi for splash, and other than that, it seems to be just double Immortal production with good upgrades to back it up.
Indeed, and getting that 3rd base incredibly early. Lillekanin has just now started mining from that 3rd, and dropping the Mule Hammer on it very, very fast. Gonna be fueling those Hellbats once again. And, I'm wondering what the unit composition that Minigun is going to be going for. He knows that Lillekanin is going for a mech kind of style. That's why he's getting the double Immortals. But the Storms, is usually not that great against the mech. But I'm thinking maybe against the Hellbats, if it's really the Hellbat heavy, it'd be a lot more effective than just against.
When combined with Colossi, they're really strong though. What you can do is, if you Storm in general, because the Hellbats can't really move, you Storm, you reduce the Hellbat by 80-ish health, and then the Colossi clean it up in just a couple of bursts. And they're so slow that you can use the kiting really effectively. Tanks, of course, can't move very fast at all. You can Storm those if you need to, and it does help clean up the bio. So Storms are just not so much a kill measure as they are against bio, but they just soften everything off and make it so much easier. They are kind of used like EMP, as it is used against Protoss.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah. Well, they are a good tactic.
He's just setting up super macro heavy, adding a bunch more gateways. And I love this too, he's getting is this the Observer speed? Or the
Observer speed.
Okay. I was thinking it was going to be the War Prism speed so that he would try to get those drops that he did again. in game number 2. But observer speed, well, just making sure that the observer can keep up with the army. And he's taking another base of his own, and I like this. Adding a Stargate, I really think that adding those Void Rays do help, because the anti-air here is really not that great. The kind of unit composition Lillekanin is going for is meant to just decimate a ground army, especially if he did add in the Ghosts again, which he is. But he really doesn't have an answer for the... Yeah, he doesn't have an answer for Void Rays.
No, he doesn't. There are Vikings being added now, though, along with some Ghosts. So Ghost Viking is basically that late-game Terran composition that is so tough to defeat. And actually building Phoenix, adding a Phoenix in is quite surprising to me, but I guess that's to hunt down Banshees. Then he can send the Phoenix with a speed observer.
Yeah, I like it.
That is innovative. I've never seen that done before. I like it. I like it a lot.
This is a really cool game to watch. Exactly, seeing how they do interact with each other, because I feel like Minigun right now is like, all right, I'm feeling you out. You might have got that win on the second game, but no, I'm adapting, and getting those Phoenixes will allow him to deal with the Vikings pretty easily.
Very, very nice. Getting that Fleet Beacon as well could show that he's trying to get some Tempest out into the mixture, and Tempest are a great unit to use against mech compositions because the mech is so mobile, and he's building a carrier. I eat my words.
Whoa! Well, here you go. You saw it here first. Minigun building carriers right now, and you know what? Carriers are. I was trying to think of a unit. I'm like, there has to be some unit, something that would be incredibly good. And,
yeah, well, the carrier can work sometimes.
Carriers are going to be amazing, I think, if he can get them out. Especially Lillekanin playing a very passive style. It does give Minigun time to get some of those carriers out, but the DPS that they can put out is pretty tremendous, and they're going to be able to hang back quite a bit, and with the Phoenixes to even kind of support them, the Vikings weren't really going to pose a threat. And Blink Stalkers in addition. So, I don't know, Kev. I don't
I'm wondering about it. The carrier's being mixed in with that third Stargate now. I think the reason why Minigun's banking up as much money as he is, because he's got quite a lot banked up. The reason why he's getting that is because he's going to intend to progressively trade up into carriers by trading off his more gateway-centric army. And that's why he has that bank, basically to effectively do a small progressive remax against this mech army, using his weaker stuff to be traded out, trading it as effectively as he can, obviously, and then getting carriers after carriers, adding those in, and ending up with this super Skytoss army that just can't be stopped by anything that Lillekanin has.
Yep. And Storms, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it too, the Storms are going to be incredibly useful against the Vikings, against the Hellbats, against everything that is pretty much not a tank, but yeah, and even the High Templar are nice for the feedback on the Banshees. If he'll be able to get the vision with the Observer and just feedback the Banshees and make them a non-issue relatively quickly. So it's one really quick, surefire way to get rid of Banshees, and I think that's going to be very nice. I feel like Lillekanin knows that, and that's why he's making them be cloaked right now, so that they can't get... He's burning that energy so that they never are in range.
The carrier's getting scanned in the natural. So now that strategy is revealed to Lillekanin. He knows what is up. He might invest more heavily. Getting 5 Widow Mines at a time.
Whoa.
That's an interesting response. That is a really interesting response.
It is indeed. But Widow Mines are pretty good in mass, and they're relatively cheap to make. And if you can get them, especially with the drilling claws, and get them in a position where they are able to burrow in a position,
yeah. Well, he's already researched drilling claws. Something that might hold Minigun back a little bit is his general lack of air upgrades. He's not doing too badly. He's got 1/1 on his air, and shield upgrades on the way too, which will add to the general durability of that composition. But it is worth thinking about the fact that carriers, because of the way carriers attack, they actually scale down over time against an opponent who's increasing their armor upgrades. It's quite bizarre, but they don't benefit from upgrades as much as they should, effectively. It's really... It's because they attack twice at once, and so against an enemy who has too much armor, it basically goes down. Yeah. Those carriers are going to clean up the tanks very effectively. Those didn't last long at all.
Not even.
Yeah, they don't do too badly.
Yeah, the carrier count is up to 5. And I have never seen this kind of composition against this type of composition before. I'm not going to lie to you at all. Pretend to be an expert in that field, but...
The last time I saw something like this was SOS, where he went for his massive Skytoss play.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? The Thors are actually going to be able to see them get mixed into the composition in order to deal with the carriers. If they're able to lock onto them. Thor's range is incredible, and if you do go into that mode that you never see Thors go to, because you barely ever see Brood Lords, they're able to kind of snipe those carriers from a nice distance.
Exactly. There aren't any massive air units, though, coming out from Lillekanin yet, but there are 3 starports in production, so whether that's for Banshees, whether that's for Vikings, or whether that is for the Battle Cruiser, we'll have to see.
Ooh,
Cannon, of course, very strong against pretty much whatever it feels like being strong against, so...
Yeah.
Big push, though.
Yeah, this is a push. Storm's going down on those Vikings, getting very low, and even some of the boys are coming to join the battle. Widowmines are trying to get in a position that they can burrow under the carrier. Storm's going off everywhere. One carrier goes down. Lillekanin is pushing forward, and a lot of these mech units are getting incredibly low, and here comes the carriers with the interceptors. Storms everywhere. Is it going to be enough? I think it is. Minigun is pushing it back. Those Immortals are destroying the ground army of Lillekanin.
The storms were huge in that fight, just the kiting backwards, forcing the mech to walk through the storm, causing it to lose most of its health, most of its tanking, before it even got to the engagement.
Oh my god, I was wondering how that was going to go, and this is what we didn't see in game number 2, where Minigun was not able to actually fight that mech army as it was going across the map. Minigun was just going back, launching interceptors, storming, and then coming back, and then making sure that there was never a good position that those units could get. And now Lillekanin is on the back foot.
Oh yeah, those extra orbitals that he's made for the macro are having to go home straight away. The interceptors are shredding every base they come across, and even if the Vikings go for this flank, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Minigun is just going to destroy all of them.
And more storms on the way. Gotta be careful. Minigun expanding again too. He is on 5 bases, and his look at this. The orbital command count of Lillekanin is kind of crazy, but I mean he's starving right now, and I don't think Minigun should ever let him get that force up again. He needs to kind of continue to do this because he has the ability to remax.
He does. Lillekanin is trying to float a base out to the bottom right in an attempt to get some extra money, but it's not going to last long enough, I don't think, because those storms going down on the Widow Mines, that sense from Minigun, seeing them on the ground, storming them out, and everything that tries to engage this army gets absolutely shredded by the carriers.
Yep. Oh, worth their weight in gold. Minigun is so rich that it doesn't even matter. We're not going to see that situation. Oh, those Vikings. If they are able to hit the volleys, that is... Yeah.
That was a seriously big storm. More and more going down on those Vikings. They're all on such low health. I think half the interceptors were killed by storms there.
It's just storms, right? Oh my god.
Yeah.
But now the Vikings are going to get killed as well. Is there an observer here for Minigun? I think he has one on the map, and I believe it is with that army. As there are a big line of Widow Mines here, that could be pretty devastating.
Well, even if it's not with the army, he does have observer speed, so it'll reinforce pretty quickly.
Yeah, true. Nothing but High Templars are coming out of Minigun here. High Templars and Carriers, standard unit composition in TVP.
Yeah, that's my opening. It's nice to go for, though. Once you get to the late game, you get these crazy high, like, tier 3 unit compositions that really, they can be beaten by the other races, but they can't be equal in terms of raw flexibility in that regard. There is no unit that, like the carrier, that just deals that level of damage that can be used in any situation. And it does have drawbacks, but there's nothing quite like it.
Oh, Seeker missiles, though. Oh!
Jeez, gets away.
Boom's going down, but it wasn't as devastating as these carriers have been this whole game. And I feel like, that Mass Raven style could be very effective against a slow-moving army, but they're just not enough at the moment.
Seeing another Seeker missile going down on a High Templar, but I think it's going to miss. Yeah, it's going to miss. Just fizzles out. And something else that I really like about what's being done by Minigun is how he was getting those High Templar that you saw earlier, and he was putting them on the high ground strategically, so he'd have the storms now, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's now storming his opponent, using the carriers to kill off as many things as possible. Everything goes down. GG is called. Minigun takes...